Hi, I'm Suzanne Norgard, and I'm the Executive Director of the Community Foundation of Mendocino County. The Community Foundation was set up as a way to allow people to give back to this county that they love in very specific and meaningful ways to them. So we work with donors on an individual basis to find out what's important to them, and that also becomes very important to us. We like to think of the Community Foundation as a very personal way to give back to the county, an effective way to give back to the county, and also a perpetual way, a way that people can put trust in this organization and know that we take our stewardship of their funds and their legacy very seriously. In this short video, you're going to hear from some of those people who have decided to work with the Community Foundation to realize their dreams for this county.
My husband and I looked for some place to retire, build a house, and this place just kept drawing us. And we came back and finally made an offer on this land and decided to design our house and build it. And then it was finished a year, and we went and worked with the State Department for another 11 years and came home to retire here. When we traveled around the world, here and there, we sometimes joke to ourselves that we're only doing this to prove that our life here in Mendocino is the most beautiful in all of the world. I was referred to the Community Foundation by somebody who is very attached to the foundation and to the library I was working with. I had just spent 4 years as president of the Friends of the Library, in which time we gathered finally the money needed to buy the old Gilmore store. We bought it. We then got enough contributions to renovate the building and open it within a year of buying it. And it is the heart of the community. The Community Foundation is very good for the county because they're there for a lot of the organizations that evolve and have been in existence a long time. They're supportive, they're responsive, good governance. It's an impressive group, and I was very pleased when I decided to become a partner in Philanthropy. My mother and dad had left me a bit of money, and I bought a CD with it, not knowing what at the time to do with it. I didn't know what I was going to do with that bit of money. It sat in the CD, and when the Partners in Philanthropy program started, I thought, this is worthy of my mom and dad. This is a worthy place to put the money, because I always thought I had to do something important with it. And it was so easy to do. All I did was go down to the bank and change the benefactors of the CD, and it was done. And I was thrilled. It doesn't take a great deal of generosity to be a partner in Philanthropy. It does take a little thoughtfulness. You know, you have to be thoughtful of the county, and I love the idea of the perpetuity of giving money to the foundation. The money is invested, and then it is the proceeds of the money goes on and on and on as it grows, and so that just appealed to me.
Well, Pat and I came to Mendocino in 1965. I'd been an assistant county administrator in San Luis Obispo County before that. And this was on my career path. I was coming in, you know, I'd probably be here 4 or 5 years and move on to a larger county. And once we got here and we had our children with us, and we really sort of liked the area, and 25 years later I retired as the county administrator in Mendocino, and we've lived here, of course, ever since. Pat passed away last year, and I wanted to do something in her memory that would relate to the work she had been doing. And in the last years of her life, she was a volunteer with the foundation in the Angel Fund program, and really enjoyed it. Being part of the Mendocino County scene for for so long, and you become sort of enmeshed with the county and its population. You know that it's not a wealthy county, and it has many needs that sometimes cannot always be met through private or public agencies, and because of that, it seems appropriate that the Angel Fund especially be supported with the goal of helping those that are less fortunate than we are. Well, it's sort of a natural to choose the Community Foundation because it's an organization that can provide continuity in carrying out the goals of the donors. And in our case, I had the background that Pat had a direct experience with the foundation, but even without that, if she hadn't had, I probably would have chosen the foundation regardless, because it's the agency, I think, that can carry out the goals that Pat would have wanted and that I want for our donation to the fund.
My grandfather was a general building contractor, and did a lot of school building and public buildings. He did a great deal in Sonoma County and Mendocino County. And in 1922 or 23, he came to Ukiah and built what is now the Civic Center. At that time, it was the elementary school for the area. And my father was at that point 10, 11 years old. So he was the water boy, and that was long before people worried about sanitation. So he carried a bucket of water and a ladle, and people drank from that. And he picked up nails that were bent and straightened them because everything was used. Subsequently, my father became a general building and engineering contractor as well, and he did a great deal of public buildings. He built many of the schools here in the Ukiah Valley, the Bank of America, and a number of other commercial buildings as well. And he and my mother, all of their lives were very much community members, did a great deal of volunteer work. And they really worked with my brother and I, or included my brother and I, in a lot of service projects, working with church groups and Rotary and Seroptimist and various other organizations, scouting. So when my mother died in 1980, and when my father died 22 years later, my brother and I decided that we wanted to establish an endowed account in their honor and memory. So my brother and I set up an account that is for youth services, vocational training, and visual and performing arts. During my professional career, I was a teacher, guidance counselor, and finally an assistant principal at Ukiah High School. And one of my delightful jobs was dealing with the scholarship program. And I remember vividly receiving a phone call from Suzanne Norgard at the Community Foundation of Mendocino County, asking about the scholarship program, and not realizing how very capable and knowledgeable she was, I started giving her the spiel about scholarships. And then I worked with the foundation for a number of years, advertising the scholarships that were offered through the foundation. So at the time my father died, I remembered there was comment about setting up some kind of an account at the bank, and my feeling was that's not what one should do. What one should do is provide the safeguards of having something that will assure perpetuity. So we decided to open our fund with the Community Foundation of Mendocino County and have awards granted through that body.
My aunt and uncle were both born on the Mendocino coast and came from longtime families, and they had no children. My aunt was the principal at the Mendocino Grammar School for over 40 years, and one of the legacies that they wished to leave when they passed on was to do something in the form of a scholarship for a student at Mendocino High School. And so this has evolved into presenting some years several scholarships to deserving graduating seniors who want to pursue higher education. And we've had a wonderful slate of young people who've become part of the quote-unquote Mendoza family. And they become like children of my own. And we've had interesting young people such as Phil Kling, who is at the California Maritime Academy, and his goal is to become captain of a ship. This young woman is Hannah Daniel, and she was our most recent scholarship winner in 2009. She is a freshman at UC Berkeley, and in her first semester, she started out with a 4.0. She's an incredible young woman and obviously extremely bright. But Hannah and I have a real personal relationship in that we're emailing back and forth all the time. And any little piece of joy that comes into her life, I am the first one that she tells. It's really exciting. This is a picture of my aunt, Alma Mendoza, and my uncle, Gus Mendoza. Gus Mendoza is from the Mendoza family of the Mendoza's Market in Mendocino, which many people are familiar with. It's now Harvest at Mendoza's. My aunt and uncle had no children, and they were very industrious people. They were very frugal, and they saved every penny that they earned. And so over the years, they were able to accumulate some money, and having started out from a very, very poor family, both of them. Mr. Mendoza Sr., my Uncle Gus's dad, had lost his arm in a lumber mill accident and had 8 children to raise, and that was a real struggle. So he started the Mendoza's Market. My grandfather, Mr. Jacobs, had ridden a mule all the way from Iowa and came out here to California and had $30 in his pocket when he arrived. And he worked for Paul Dimmick in the lumber industry for many, many years in order to be able to save and buy a small piece of property. So there was not huge money in these families at all. They were extremely poor people. But it was through their thrift and their vision that they were able to save, and now young people in Mendocino County will be benefiting from their hard work for years to come.
Thank you for spending a few minutes with the Community Foundation of Mendocino County. If you'd like to explore some ideas about your own philanthropy and giving back in the community, we'd love to hear from you.